so the joke's on you.
Very good question. I've always been a big believer in the idea that you must criticise harshly that which you love. The more you love it, the more critical you should be. That's why I am legally recognised in at least 60 countries as the world's only real Nintendo fan. Because I'm the only man in the world who's ever criticised Nintendo. That's true. That's not a made-up statistic. That's just a statistic if we take the words made and up out of that definition of what I just said. So think on. That's why today I am doing an episode, and yes, it's called Fuck Skyrim, but as you can see, I am resplendent in Dovahkiin armour to show the duality of this production and the duality indeed of humankind. This show is very much about the human condition and not at all an excuse for me to swear and get paid for it. Enjoy your fucking selves, you bunch of... Before I'm about to say the things I'm about to say, I feel I must preface this by saying that I like Skyrim a lot. I've loved this game for years. I know that's not fashionable to say, especially in a post-Witcher 3 world, or indeed a post-Skyrim world, but The Elder Scrolls V has had so much playtime out of me on several platforms, and for all its faults, I cannot take away that enjoyment. I also couldn't resist acquiring the game for the 100th time on Nintendo Switch because, like many others, the simple allure of playing even an unmodified Skyrim on a portable system was just too enthralling a prospect to give up. So I stand here naked and unashamed declaring that I like Skyrim a lot. On that note, fuck Skyrim. Fuck Skyrim with a Daedric helmet. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. I've called it the cockroach of video games on multiple occasions, and that's because it just won't die. A latter-day Resident Evil, Bethesda takes the Capcom approach with its critically acclaimed RPG, taking any excuse it can to port, and port again. Skyrim first launched in 2011 for PC, Xbox 360 and PS3, and inevitably enjoyed a second wind by re-releasing Skyrim Legendary Edition with all its DLC expansions in 2013. After the world moved from the last generation to Xbox One and PS4, Bethesda spied another chance to resell Skyrim, offering up a remastered special edition with various upgrades, console mod support, and obligatory DLC. Not done there, Bethesda most recently launched Skyrim VR, because why not add that bandwagon to the list as well, and the aforementioned Skyrim for Switch. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim has been knocking about now for about 6 years and has been released, ported and re-released several times. In all that time, however, and despite so many attempts to double, triple, quadruple down on sales, Bethesda's utter indifference to the sheer volume of widely reported, largely notorious, and often easily fixable bugs has left me absolutely fucking floored. Now don't misunderstand me, I knew what I was getting into. I don't feel necessarily burned by Bethesda because I'm well aware I put my own face in the furnace on this one. I knew what Skyrim was, I bought it on Switch anyway. But Bethesda's complete disregard for game quality at this point needs to be contextualized and called out. Like, I get it, Bethesda games are buggy, they're big open worlds littered with activities and powered by an engine that behaves like GLaDOS on shrooms, I get that. But when you have a litany of widely reported game-breaking bugs that modders have easily fixed, and you've had 6 fucking years to fix that shit yourselves, you really do deserve to get called a lazy, docile, complacent, negligent fucking developer. When I'm playing Skyrim for Switch, I really shouldn't expect to be unable to use forges or alchemy tables because the game forgot how the animation for those interactions work. In a 2011 game that's been remastered and ported so much, I really shouldn't, 6 years later, still be repeatedly mining ore deposits because mining regularly fails to register and just locks players in a meaningless pickaxe loop that doesn't result in anything. Those are just the minor bugs. Stuff Bethesda 100% absolutely has to know about, because if it doesn't, we can add clueless and worthlessly out of touch to the list of problems Bethesda has. Oh, and of course the game still crashes like a wanker on Switch. Of course it does. At least on PC, and to a limited and even more limited extent on Xbox One and PS4 respectively, you can use mods to fix some of Skyrim's egregious problems. On Switch, of course, you have no such recourse, and if you encounter a bug that breaks a quest, fucks up your in-game marriage, or manages to ruin the experience in some other ancient and long documented and probably easily patchable way, sorry sunshine, but you're on your own. Completely. Like Bethesda itself said in 2013, it was moving on from Skyrim and working on other projects, leaving hundreds upon hundreds of bugs unfixed. Which in one instance is fair. We don't always expect our games to be 100% patched to perfection with every single glitch removed. However, when we're talking about bugs so stupid and so widely known they become downright famous, and they're still present in the latest version so many years later, that's not even the slightest bit tenable. If you're moving on from a game like Skyrim in the state Skyrim's in, you know what you ought to do? Stop fucking re-releasing it. Either make more real fixes before you try and make a second, third or fourth $60 from the thing, or don't fucking bother. And you should be all for that latter suggestion, Bethesda. Not fucking bothering is your sort of thing. Now, obviously, Bethesda's not been resting on its laurels entirely for the whole time since Skyrim first launched. It put out Fallout 4, though make of that what you will, I know some of you don't care for it too much, but it made strides as a publisher, putting out excellent Wolfenstein games and, of course, the delightful Doom of 2016. But even so, the idea that someone official can't pop back into Skyrim and make some code changes and bug fixes that modders have performed ages ago to repair a litany of complete breakages is just, well, it's just nonsense. Utter frigging nonsense. For long-standing Bethesda critics, I know I'm not saying much new. Hell, for long-standing fans, it's nothing new. It's not new to me. I've been annoyed for years by Bethesda's glaring oversights and apathetic reliance on modders to fix shit they could easily sort out themselves. But the Switch release really was the perfect opportunity to showcase Bethesda's developmental apathy in all its plaintive glory. In a fashion typical for this company, it's not just pathetic, it's pathetic. And remember, this is coming from someone who loves Skyrim, and I say it out of love, but the Switch port is just too juicy a contextualizer to ignore. Here we have a 6-year-old game re-released on Switch with obvious graphical inferiority to its platform variant, yet still charging $59.99 for the privilege, lacking mod support of course, and filled to the brim with bugs and problems that are known about but haven't been addressed for over half a fucking decade. Half a decade Bethesda has had to sort some of these issues out, and I'm not asking for all of them to be sorted, you know, just some of the big shit that you fucking know is there and refuse to even think about, while continuing to charge $60 for your digital Jason Voorhees. I know Jason Voorhees is cooler than a cockroach, but I used cockroach already and needed something else known for not dying. It won't die! When you've had this long to fix the issues, there's simply no excuse, and not if you're committed to continuing to sell new versions versions of the damn thing. Certainly not when you're reselling it and the problems are so notorious you can vaguely write about whatever problem you're currently encountering in Skyrim and find posts from former players going back years and years and years talking all about it. It really does make you ask what the fuck Bethesda's been doing for half a decade in between releases. I realise they're a busy company with many irons in many fires, but again, 6 years! So many re-releases, so many well-known bugs, so few fucks given. It makes me think the Skyrim crew just spent those years dildoing themselves to a rain-soaked copy of Razzle for months on end. Like, fuck the fact I can cosplay as Link this time around. That wasn't a worthwhile use of your time. Fixing it so quest lines can't get broken is a worthwhile use of your time. Last time I checked, you were game developers. Develop your fucking games. Without any form of mod support at all for the Switch version, this really should be the final nail in the coffin for anybody's patience with the fucking company. Unfortunately, Skyrim has something of a Peter Molyneux immunity, which I'm now calling Molynumity. God damn, that was clever. When it comes to Games Press coverage, the stuff Peter Molyneux used to say was laughed off as the wacky antics of a silly old scamp we all know and love. And the same thing happens with Bethesda and its games. They're not raked over hot coals for doing fucking fuck all for years. And I'll cop to it as well, I wasn't holding their feet to the fire either. Far too patient with the fuckers. Instead, critics ruffle their hair with all the amiability of light-hearted goofery, which at this point in Skyrim's history, it really isn't. Just like Peter Molyneux isn't a lovable idealist so much as he is a terminal bullshitter, so too is Bethesda not a funny little group with its funny little gameplay quirks. It's a corporation that has had years and years and years, remasters and multiple ports to do something, anything, to make Skyrim that little bit less broken. Reviews gloss over them because, like Molyneux's bollocks, it's all so expected nobody bats an eye. There are, as expected, the same glitches we've seen a million times, writes The Independent before promptly moving on to remind us it's one of the best games ever made. You might have to deal with a few bugs and make sure you always have a torch at the ready, but few things compare to lifting your arm and seeing your character do the same. Praises Games Radar, writing off the bugs as merely silly while touting the game's clumsy motion controls. Then there's IGN with all of its vastness, beauty, characters, stories, and goofy bugs fit nicely onto the Switch. Goofy bugs. Goofy bugs that fit nicely on the Switch, where they can't be fixed. Because we've become so used to it, we can't see Bethesda sitting on notorious problems for years and refusing to deal with them while charging contemporary prices for last-gen games as anything more than charming, apparently. No. The laundry list of bizarre animal hybrids in Red Dead Redemption were goofy glitches that would fit nicely in a re-release. They were at least funny. Skyrim's constant re-releases while remaining in quality stasis isn't funny. A joke may be, but one that only Bethesda laughs at, all the way to the effing bank. I'll hold my hands up again, I give Bethesda a lot of leeway myself, and only in more recent years have I grown significantly tired of their pattern of shit. And I genuinely still like their games, I am still enjoying Skyrim on Switch for Christ's bloody sake. And I can still forgive bugs in gigantic game worlds. What I cannot easily pardon are entire wiki entries on bugs that, again, years and years and years on, Bethesda ignores in order to do another straight port job simply because they can and will get away with it. We'll all of us, myself included, bloody idiot, let them off the hook as per. It's amazing that Skyrim can be played on the Nintendo Switch. As a lifelong lover of portable gaming, it's a dream scenario for me. But at the risk of sounding spoiled, and God forbid we invoke the forbidden video game word, entitled, it's not good enough. Sorry Bethesda, I know I'm not a game reviewer and you've been making it clear you don't give a fuck what critics think anyway, so I'm talking bollocks at nobody, but what you did was not good enough. And at this point you, my dear beloved friends, are hacks. I love Skyrim. Fuck Skyrim.
Dust! You shut up!
I can't believe I still have my plush helmet knocking about though, that's brilliant. This is from like 2010, even though the eye bits rock up and then I get felt in my eyeballs. Anyway, as you might have told from some of the little tasters that I've scattered in the video today, I made my pro wrestling debut as Jim Sterling, speaking on behalf of Stardust, who will now be making his appearance at the next Pro Wrestling Ego show in February. I like to think it went down very well, at least as far as promos from heels go, but then again, I'm a Jim Sterling guy, so there we are. Also, a big shout out to O'Shea Edwards, who won the Styles Championship this weekend, and who also lists Skyrim as his favourite RPG. O'Shea Edwards, I'm just name dropping you a lot now because I have a feeling you're going to become pretty world famous in the business that you're in at some point, and hopefully you'll, remember your less famous friends when you get there. And that's all that's left to be said, apart from, of course, thank God for me and for Sroda! It's still good! It's still good to say it, even now. It's been 6 years, Bethesda. Fix your shit. Oh, and the Switch version is too dark.